Side note before we begin this video, it is absolutely scorching in here, so please excuse if you see sort of any sweat dripping down my face. Anyways, let's begin with this week's video. Hi everyone, I'm Sanchit Batra and welcome back to the Poetry Challenge, where I write a poem every week and then make a video in which I recite it to share my joy of poetry with the rest of the world. So this week turns out I have written free verse. And for those of you who don't know, which I believe will be a very small percentage of you, here's what free verse is. So I believe a very good way to explain free verse is by keeping it in parallel to painting and art, etc. So as we know, in the Renaissance period, in the older 18th century and the Middle Ages, painting was more formal. Painting was more, let's just say, elaborate, and it depicted things as they were. But as we moved into the 20th century, into the 21st century, painters decided to shift their views and tried to do modern art, right? So, a similar thing is what we experience in poetry as well. In the earlier days, poetry was about meter, poetry was about rhyme, poetry was about thoughts being expressed in the most elaborate of all manners. It was about thoughts being expressed in an elegant matter, right? And that was what we used to call formalist poetry. Switch to the 21st century. Today, poets are not focusing anymore on formal poetry. Even magazines tend to focus more on what we call free verse. Free verse does not care about rhyme. It does not care about how many elaborate thoughts you use, how many hidden thoughts you use. It does not care about that. Free verse is about depicting your thoughts in the most plain manner possible, in a manner that depicts your feeling in a very candid sort of manner. And so this does not usually have rhyme, this does not usually have meter as well. And while in the formalist poetry, breaks occur where they should occur according to meter, in this, breaks occur where a thought is stopping. So it's more about channeling your thoughts into the words, and sort of less about making it a professional piece of literature. But as we moved further in the trend, this sort of an ideology where people tend to channel their thoughts into more candid poetry rather than professional, this sort of theme turned mainstream. So this week I tried my first attempt at it. So please judge, considering that I have written free verse for the first time. But anyways, here's my attempt. Lying on the roof of my car, my feet resting against the engine lid. A wire stretches across my view, the yellow and black intertwined like my sweater's fiber. But otherwise, the sky spans my view like the ocean of darkness with a single iceberg, the moon. And as my eyes roamed my sideline, looking for something, anything really, the darkness forbade me to do so. But like the man who seeks attention undeserved and so loses it, the darkness slowly dropped its prominence, and the clouds became conspicuous. Like the fur of a fleet, the clouds are shepherded by the wind. So, as I was about to doze away, a call for dinner touched my ears, and I slid down the roof of my car. So, personally speaking, for a very personal point of view, and I absolutely do not mean to sort of force this view onto all of you, I think formalist poetry just has a bit more rhythm to it. I think formalist poetry has a sort of flair to it that separates poetry from typical essays. But whereas in free verse, the poet is a lot more free, which is normally a good thing. But I personally feel it turns your poem into sort of an essay. But certainly, I'm not forcing this view onto any of you. If you feel that free verse is for you, go ahead, try it. It is what is mainstream today. And sort of the main thing that I learned in this first attempt was try to keep it as mundane as possible. Try to, instead of saying that the rain dropped like pearls, Try saying the rain dropped and stamped the petals onto the floor. Try to depict more real life experiences and use metaphors, use similes like oxygen. Like that is basically 80% of what free verse is about while I was ruffling through one of the master's works, right? So that was my attempt at free verse for this week. If you liked it, do click the like button. If you want to be notified every week a new video comes out, click the subscribe button below. And this is me, Sanchit Batra, signing out for now. See you next week.